Dune is one of those epic sci-fi novels that's just too big to capture in one movie properly. With Dune Part 2 hitting theaters, we've finally gotten the complete story of Paul Atreides and his rise to power as the Lisan al-Gaib, or have we? House Atreides may have gotten its revenge by the end of the movie, but it's clear there's a lot more story to tell where Paul and his family are concerned. With that in mind, let's break down the ending to Dune Part 2 and where it leaves characters like Timothée Chalamet's Paul, Zendaya's Chani, and Florence Pugh's Princess Irulan. Where does the story go from here, and why does it appear that these movies are diverging from the books? If the first Dune movie showed us the downfall of House Atreides on Arrakis, the sequel is about how Paul turns the tables on his betrayers. In Dune Part 2, we see Paul win the hearts and minds of the Fremen. These desert nomads have been conditioned by years of carefully planted Bene Gesserit prophecies to expect the coming of a messiah called the Lisan al-Gaib. Paul, with his unparalleled combat skills and his rapidly growing ability to see the future, seems to be the savior they've been waiting for. Paul finally cements his hold over the Fremen when he undergoes two critical tests. First, he successfully rides a sandworm and passes the rite of adulthood every Freeman must undergo. Second, he follows in his mother's footsteps by drinking the water of life and transmuting it, fully awakening his prescient abilities in the process. It's there that Paul begins communing with his unborn sister Aaliyah and realizes that Baron Harkonnen is actually their grandfather. Paul fears the holy war he knows his people will unleash upon the galaxy, but he ultimately chooses to embrace his messianic role rather than avoid his destiny. By the climax of Dune Part 2, Paul and his mother, Rebecca Ferguson's Lady Jessica, have managed to whip the freemen of the north and south of Arrakis into a religious fervor. However, he refuses to challenge Javier Bardem's Stilgar to ritual combat, not wanting to waste such a valuable warrior and ally. After reuniting with his old teacher Josh Brolin's Gurney Halleck, Paul reclaims the Atreides family's stash of atomic weapons and uses them to launch an all-out assault on the city of Arrakeen. With the Padishah Emperor and the Baron both in the city, it's the perfect time for the heir to House Atreides to settle all scores. Paul swiftly kills the Baron and gives the Emperor an ultimatum. Either Shaddam IV abdicates the throne or the Fremen will destroy all the spice on Arrakis, forever dooming an Imperium that's become so heavily dependent on this rare substance. It's here that Paul duels Austin Butler's Fade Routha with the fate of the universe hanging in the balance. Fade, despite his tricks, loses the duel, and the Emperor is left with no choice but to surrender. Paul's ultimate goal is to marry Princess Irulan and cement his claim to the throne. This angers Chani and seems to bring a swift end to their whirlwind romance. As Chani summons a sandworm and returns to the desert, Paul and his freemen unleash their fury on the houses that refuse to recognize their new emperor. Jessica and Aaliyah reflect that Paul Muad'Dib's holy war has truly begun, and the universe will never be the same. Dune Part 2 definitely wraps up on an open-ended note, just as the novel does. As the credits roll, we've just seen the opening salvo in a holy war that promises to reshape the galaxy. Paul has gotten his revenge, but at what cost? Is this even a happy ending? What did you think of Dune Part 2? What are your theories about the next movie in the series? Let us know in the comments.